Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. I wanted to give you an update on Hurricane Matthew. First, a quick look at the satellite. This is the most healthy that it has looked yet. Classic hurricane structure, banding over on all quadrants of this system. The central core very well protected. The eye clearing out. This is not good news at all for Haiti over here. Some of this heavier banding will eventually make its way towards eastern Jamaica. But this area right up here is what I am most concerned about, as are most people in the meteorological community, for the very heavy rain, the storm surge, and certainly the potential for destructive hurricane wind conditions. But I reiterate once again, you can hide from the wind. You can get indoors, get into a sturdy structure, and get away from something that could hurt you wind-wise in most situations. But when you have that much rain, which is forecast to come into this region, especially over here, in some cases in excess of 3 feet, it's almost impossible to get away from those lethal effects of mudslides, flash floods, and the torrents of raging fresh water that will come down out of some of those mountains and gullies. Just not a good scenario. This will be moving on to the north, jogging around, wobbling a little bit, I'm sure, probably crossing over eastern Cuba sometime tomorrow. From there, I want to show you the latest GFS. A lot of buzz on the internet and the hurricane blogosphere, as I like to call it, about what's happening with Matthew over the next few days. So here is Matthew down here in the 500 millibar field of the atmosphere. Remember, the atmosphere is like layers, and we are looking about midway up. This is the outline of the ridge of high pressure, the Bermuda High. A little bit of weak troughing over here in Mississippi, and then some upper level energy scooting out of the way up here along the mid-Atlantic states. So watch what happens when I put this into motion. This is over the next 5 days. This will go out to 120 hours. It moves up, as you can see here, over Haiti, eastern Cuba, into the southern Bahamas. Now it's starting to turn more towards the west as this ridge, as you can see to the north of it, builds over the top with a pronounced turn to the northwest, fairly close to Cape Canaveral, Daytona, West Palm Beach, and then it starts to turn. This is so much like Floyd in 1999 in terms of the track, but then coming right in here almost to Brunswick County, North Carolina. What is the difference this time? Watch as the ridge expands and contracts each day. It gets a little bigger each time and then finally starts to build. You can see it happening right about here over the mid-Atlantic states into North Carolina. More ridging here forces this on a more westerly trajectory. This big bubble of air out here isn't going to let it turn into it. I'm drawing too much. And at the end, again, it sits right here, almost where Hazel was in 1954, if you can believe that. A remarkable similarity to the track overall. But look at it. Once again, you see that ridge trying to get in over the top. It does. It forces it more to the west, because it's not only building over the top, but it's building south enough to create a barrier. Remember, the hurricane overall is less dense of an air mass than this ridge of high pressure is. And so it just can't turn into this. And in fact, it builds and gets a little stronger, what we call the building heights in the atmosphere. And so there you go. What would the intensity look like? It's very hard to speculate. We don't need to worry about that right now. But look, it comes up a huge area of anticyclonic flow sitting over the western Atlantic, southwest Atlantic, and then the hurricane is up here at this point in time. Very favorable conditions. What we don't see is this right here coming across the top of Matthew. In fact, you can see that there's divergent flow in the atmosphere for the most part, and it looks like the circulation almost reaches all the way up here to the 200 millibar level, which is what I'm showing here. Just amazing, not in a good way, believe me, don't get me wrong, but this is not setting up to be a good scenario. Will this be exactly what happens? Absolutely not. I'm just trying to point out and start to raise awareness for folks in this area even more that the threat to the southeast United States, including the peninsula of Florida, is increasing as of now, and we are within the 5-day window. All right, so it's time to really start talking about it even more, even though we know that the emphasis over the next 24 to 48 hours will be farther to the south and east with the Caribbean, the Greater Antilles, and eventually the Bahamas. I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. I'll have another update for you early this evening.